Growing up, I never realized what it meant to be part of a minority. I come from a place where it's just a wall of brown, and Spanish is just as, if not more common than English. I come from a place where the white kids get made fun of for their skin. My father had always tried to instill in me a sense of pride and love towards the color of my skin, the sounds and dances of my blood. Celia Cruz, Tito Puentes, Mariachi Vargas, Selena, these beautiful rolling, swaying side to side, dancing with fire in our shoes, rum-ta-ta-ta-tum-tum songs play through my heart. He showed me Aztlan. He showed me that I am descended from conquerors and from the conquered. He gave me the characteristic blue of the little tiles in a little restaurant in Ciudad Mexico. He gave me the wild reds and oranges from the dance clubs in Cuba and Puerto Rico. He gave me trumpets, violins, guitarras, and the pot-bellied guitarrón. He gave me a history. He said, son, this is where you come from. As he showed me pictures of my grandfather, who worked 4 jobs to support his family, who became the first Chicano mayor of Garden City, Kansas, who hosted his own radio show, who got drunk and frighteningly quiet, who bickered with his brown, college-educated wife, who still believed that whipping with a belt was the cure for misbehaving. My father said, son, these are the people who fought for you. As he showed me movies about Cesar Chavez, Dolores Huerta, the Brown Berets, and the students of the LA school districts who stood up and walked out of their classrooms, screaming equal education for all, shouting that brown is beautiful. Before I came to this university, that was just a foggy childhood memory. I came here and found that people danced until their hips hurt, that Spanish sounded even more beautiful when you caught tiny snippets of it coming from the people in line behind you, and that the parties were wild and free and frightening. I came here and I felt that I was brown for the first time. My warrior, my sun jaguar, the Azteca inside of me rose up, and my flower woman, my sacred feminine, my Guadalupe Tonantzin bloomed within. My Spaniard, in his cold steel armor, reconciled himself and took flower woman's hand and sun jaguar's hand. And my blood mixed with the cosmic explosions of old and new, brown and white, Spanish and Nahuatl, conqueror and conquered. Within me, I found the seeds of revolution, the seeds of indignation and the tiny, beautiful, choking weeds of anger. I have become alive with the fire that infects all young people, the fire that tells you that discrimination, hate, poverty, destruction, abuse, deception, murder, and cruelty are not only wrong, but offensive to the very core of your existence. I came here among all these beautiful burning stars and made the choice to live in my brown skin.
I'm white, but I was a minority once. For 2 months, I lived in a black neighborhood, and I stuck out. Sometimes people would stop me on the street and say, "Are you lost?" The thing is, it's a little uncomfortable for people to hear about the whole experience because it wasn't just a black neighborhood. It was also a poor neighborhood. I worked at a homeless shelter for women and children. Don't think I wasn't aware of how aesthetically wrong this situation was. A young white girl with the power over 6 older black women? That just screams racially entrenched power structure. I was never unaware of this, that I, this 19-year-old white girl, held the keys. Literally, I wore a set of keys around my neck that locked all of the doors to keep the women of the shelter out of the different rooms. So if one of the ladies wanted to take a smoke break, she had to find me to let her outside. I was the one who said, "Good night, ladies," and turned the lights out for bedtime, and then said, "Rise and shine," after shocking them awake with the bright lights at 6 a.m. I was the one who returned their confiscated phones and alarm clocks and electric razors. I wished that I was black or any color, just so that I wouldn't be white and in charge. Don't get me wrong, I'm not ashamed of being white, and the ladies and I got along really well, but I was almost always aware of my race. So, what I did to compensate was to posture myself as this little white girl who didn't know anything. I deferred to those ladies on everything. I weakened myself, my voice, my assertiveness. I pretended I didn't know a clue about my future, so the ladies could give me advice. I pretended I didn't know a thing about boys. I talked in this high-pitched, sweet Catholic schoolgirl voice. I felt like if I had to be aware of my race, if I had to play the role of a white person instead of just being me, then I wanted to pick the most harmless white persona possible. And the thing is, if you looked at me, you would never guess that I was a minority once. I am white, and most people just assume that that means I've always been in the majority. For the most part, that's true. But for 2 months, I was a minority. And after that, how could I ever forget what it feels like to be the only one that looks like me? But it's an experience I can't really talk about. It's something I can't really explain to my minority friends, because then I'd have to explain that I was the white girl who held the keys.
The following are 21 answers to questions I left unanswered for various reasons.
Yes, my skin can still tan, and yes, black people can still get skin cancer. Yes, I wash my hair, just not every day.
No, I don't know what part of Africa I'm from. My family never immigrated here. I'm the descendant of slaves and European settlers. My black ancestors were captured and shipped to the Americas, while my indigenous ancestors were stripped of their land and dignity.
No, my hair is not a political statement. It's just my hair. Yes, I listen to more than just hip-hop and rap.
No, you cannot play with my hair. Sorry, but I do not know where your hands have been.
Yes, my siblings and I all have the same father, and yes, we know him. No, I don't find racist jokes funny, regardless of which group is being ridiculed.
No, I did not vote for Obama solely because he's black. I actually agree with him on most political issues. I wouldn't ask you if you supported a candidate solely because they're white, so please, don't assume that about me or any other minority.
No, I'm not Golden Tate. He's been gone for a year now.
No, my 48-year-old father and I are not here to play some football. He's actually just moving me in.
No, none of my relatives are professional athletes.
No, I cannot and will not translate jive and ebonics for you. No, my friends and I don't segregate ourselves in the dining hall just because we're black. You're more than welcome to sit with us.
No, the university does not give me scholarships just for being black. Actually, they seem to be quite fond of giving me loans.
No, I will not teach you how to Dougie, pop, lock, and drop it, Cupid shuffle, or any other dance. I can barely do those myself. I really can't answer that question, having not seen the genitalia of every black guy and every other non-black guy.
Yes, I'm a Notre Dame student.
And yes, I am very fortunate to be here, but I don't think I should feel any more grateful than the rest of the student body.
No, I will not lend you a black girl for the night.
No, I don't think Notre Dame is a post-racial campus.
Sorry. Okay, if I don't know it by now, I'm just not gonna know it. It's okay. It's okay. Okay. It's gotta fill this damn Scantron out. God, I hate Scantrons. Such a waste of time. I'm gonna fill in each and every bubble. Why can't I just be fill in the blank? My handwriting isn't that bad. Okay, whatever. Okay. Let's do this! First name. Yes, okay, easy. Middle initial. Last name, address, school, Notre Dame. Okay. Date of birth. Okay. Nationality. I am a U.S. citizen. Yes. Ethnicity, please pick the one that's most applicable. Okay. Caucasian. Asian. Did I read that correctly? Please pick the one that's most applicable. Wait. I can only choose one? What? But I'm not just one. Most applicable? What the hell does that even mean? How is one ethnicity more applicable than the other? Okay. I'm half Asian, I'm half Caucasian. Wait. Asian's a minority. Maybe it'll benefit me to pick that. Yeah, Asian, okay. Asian, yes. Oh, wait a second. Aren't Asians supposed to be, like, super smart? Does that mean they're gonna compare me to the other Asians? Nope. Okay. Maybe it'll benefit me to pick Caucasian then. Caucasian. Yes, Caucasian. Holy shit, that was racist. I'm so confused. Okay, it doesn't matter. Just pick one and fill it in. Doesn't matter. Asian, Caucasian, who knows? It's gonna be. But doesn't it kind of matter though? Is it insulting if I just pick one? It's like I'm saying that that's my favorite ethnicity out of the two. Okay, it's almost as if they're asking me what parent I identify best with. Please pick the one that's most applicable. Mom or dad? Caucasian or Asian? Okay, that is bullshit, okay? My mom, she doesn't even identify as Caucasian. She is German, French, and English. And yeah, my dad's of Asian descent, but he doesn't even speak Chinese. Okay, if my dad went to China,
They wouldn't even call him Chinese. They would call him American. Why isn't there an American bubble to fill in? Why isn't there an option for multiple bubbles? What? Why isn't there an option for a mix? Or a mutt? I mean, that's what I really am, a mutt. And then it hits me. A voice that I hadn't heard before. 30 minutes left in the exam period. You should be starting on your second essay by now. Shit!
I am not who I seem to be. I'll just say it. I'm transgender. I have the body of a boy, but inside, I'm a girl. It's complicated. When people think of someone who's transgender, they think of some old dude wearing bad makeup impersonating Marilyn Monroe on the weekends. That's not me. I'm a poet. I love Jane Austen. I like to dance and smile. I want to be called beautiful. My soul is simple and pure, like a small clear gem. And I think my soul's beautiful. The thing is, it's taken me a long time to get here because my entire life I've felt this deep shame about who I am. I felt like everything that came naturally to my spirit was somehow bad and insufficient. I'm carefree and hopeful. No, I must be competitive and pragmatic. I'm compassionate and empathetic. But no, I must be self-sufficient and logical. I wanted to ask for leather boots for Christmas, and instead I asked for aftershave. Our society demands that I fit into these ridiculous boxes of masculinity and femininity. I have male junk in between my legs, and therefore I have to dress a certain way, and act a certain way, and smile a certain way, and express love in a certain way. I'm not saying I have a problem with gender roles. The great dance between the yin and the yang of the universe is breathtakingly beautiful. What troubles me is that I'm automatically not allowed to join this dance because I'm different. I'm sorry. I just don't feel like a dude. My emotions, my paradigm, my self-image, my everything feels female. What do you want me to do about it? Be a lie?
Cherry tomatoes are so simple and so delicious. Apparently, they're a fruit, but I like to think that's debatable. I remember the first time I ate a cherry tomato.
family, we lived in an apartment complex in what was generally acknowledged to be a rough neighborhood, and we had a small community garden. In that garden, my mom picked a cherry tomato and handed it to me. When my 8-year-old self proudly declared cherry tomatoes to be my new favorite food, she had to explain to me that they were too expensive for us to buy at the store. Cherry tomatoes are simple, delicious, and expensive. Years later, I found myself as a freshman in South Dining Hall, a dining hall I was at because I received scholarships funded by people that I'll never meet, but will always feel indebted to. And as I looked at the cherry tomatoes in the middle of the salad bar, I immediately thought of my family, whose dinner that night would primarily come from food bank donations. I felt so alone. Then I felt sick, and my head was filled with anger. So I hid my thoughts from my friends. Thoughts that screamed, money doesn't matter. Money shouldn't matter. Why does it always matter? Why am I in this place where everything is perfect and money is wasted on things like beauty and gold and fucking cherry tomatoes? As I sat in my room, I cried. I cried out of jealousy for the fancy SYR dresses, North Faces, and Uggs. I cried for the spring break trips that I wouldn't take and the parties that I wouldn't go to because I couldn't afford a $3 cab ride home. I cried for each of the times that I was horribly humbled when I'd ask for help and be forced to explain to my rector, my employers, and my friends that I didn't have as much money as they assumed. I cried for my parents who love so deeply and work so hard, but often feel like failures. I cried for my brother and for the oil burns on his arm from working the fryer at KFC on his 6-hour shift after school. And then I cried for myself because I was ungrateful and selfish and scared at the thought of spending 4 years in a place full of cherry tomatoes. I eat cherry tomatoes with every meal now. And each time I eat them, I feel like it's Christmas and like I've been given an amazing present. My friends, they often joke about how much I love cherry tomatoes, and they make fun of me for eating them all of the time. But I just want to tell them, I want to say that cherry tomatoes aren't just a fruit or a vegetable, but that they're happiness and sunshine and every unreachable goal my family has ever had. Instead, I smile and I say, I eat them because they're simple and delicious.
I can't tell you how many times I've told people from back home that I go to Notre Dame, and their response has been, I love Notre Dame football. Or, I went there once for a football game. Or, how do you think the team's going to do this year? There's a part of me that fiercely hates football. I'm an athlete too, but because I am a woman, no one cares. I follow exactly the same NCAA rules the football team does. I put in the same number of hours into my training. My team is ranked higher nationally. We have no issues with drug or rape scandals, and our grades are higher. And yet, on Saturdays in the fall, I see thousands of people flocking to campus for football games. When it's my turn to compete, I'm lucky if my parents show up. If my team is about to do a time trial and the football team decides they need to use our facility to do their warm-up, they have the right to kick us out and make us wait for them. We're second-class citizens. One time, in the middle of a conditioning session, I needed to use a tampon. I went to the medical room where all the training supplies are kept, and they said, sorry, we don't keep tampons here. I couldn't believe it. It honestly never occurred to you that one of the 300 or so female athletes on campus might need a tampon. You have an MRI machine, but no tampons? I'm not going to take what I have for granted. If I had gone to Notre Dame 30 years ago, I wouldn't have been able to be an athlete at all. We've come a long way. But men's and women's sports still can't be called anything that resembles equal. I've had male classmates tell me that the only virtue in watching women's sports is so they can look at our asses. They think I run for an hour to make myself skinny, do some half-ass sit-ups, and then play a few games. And in return, the school piles benefits and scholarships and free clothes on me. In reality, while the rest of you are sleeping, I'm lifting weights that are heavier than my own body and doing push-ups in a puddle of my own sweat. I train 12 times a week, and I am in pain more often than not. And don't forget, I've got homework. My scholarship is my work study, and if I fail to perform up to a certain standard, I lose my job. I am a slave. I sold my body for financial aid. So why do I still compete? Does my love of the sport make it worth it? Do I do it simply because it's expected of me? Or because I'm stubborn? Well, maybe that's part of it. But mostly, I'm holding out for the day, long after I'm retired from my sport, when we're equal. Ugh! May the best athlete always win.
When I did something obsessive compulsive, I apologized to my friends saying I was OCD. Me too, she laughed. I had to explain to her that no, really, like I actually have obsessive compulsive disorder. She laughed. Me too. You are not so OCD when you double check that door is locked. You're not so OCD when you keep your food separate on your plate. I was so OCD and I got so anxious in high school to the point where I was checking my work and rechecking and rechecking and rechecking and one more time just to be 100% absolutely, without a doubt, positively certain. I am so OCD that I question every single decision I make and feel guilt and anxiety over most everything I do. Because what if I didn't check it enough? What if I did it wrong? What if something happens? I was so OCD that anxiety caused me to miss 186 days of high school. I don't want to, but I do it. I do it, and I hate it, and I can't fucking stop. I was so OCD when I had a breakdown, age 16, waiting in the family room at 4 a.m. And my parents could not take the calc book away yet. I hadn't reviewed it quite 87 times. I was so OCD when I went to the hospital, when I sat beside a man who had cut one wrist of cooking, and he had to cut the other too. You laugh about being so OCD. I hope you know that 3.3 million people suffer from it. That it affects children as young as 1.5 years old. That less than 1 in 10 sufferers are getting treatment. 1/3 attempt suicide. 9 in 10 dream of it. You are not so OCD when you straighten some freaking war art. You don't get to fucking say me too. Where are your scars? Where are your wants? Where is your loneliness and anger at people saying that they are it, that they get it, and laughing at it? As though mental illness is a joke. As though I am. We talk of being a welcoming place. We talk of being a smart group of people. I want to believe that Notre Dame is both of this. But when you hear it all the time, so OCD, so OCD, so OCD, so OCD, you can't help but want to cry. And again, and again, and one more time, to be certain. You wouldn't say, I'm so cancer. Don't you dare think you have a right to say you're so OCD.